Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you are tuning in from, whatever time it happens to be there. Will is 10 where you are, right?
I am in Texas, in Fort Worth, and it's morning here, 10:30 a.m.
Summery? Like good weather?
No, so we don't get snow or ice here really, but we did the last few days, and I've actually spent the better part of the last hour watching one of our neighbors try to get his truck out of the driveway, and it is covered in ice. And his tires are spinning, and he braked and slid down the driveway. It was kind of entertaining. Everything's covered in ice. I've been at home for the better part of 3 days without leaving the house because the roads are pretty bad here. So
Okay.
kind of wild.
In your day job, can you work from home?
I do, yeah. So luckily I have my office set up here and it doesn't affect me much, but I like to get out and go to coffee shops to kind of see people and stay sane.
Yeah.
So 3 days in a row here 24 hours a day is not super easy, but looking forward to the podcast.
Yeah, cool. So we're here to talk about the Australian Open. A bit like those spinning wheels, there'll be one or two recurring themes. But let's begin with the end of a career. If you like, a certainly Grand Slam career. She will be officially bowing out next month in Dubai, but pretty much this is the lid on her career. I'm talking about Mirza, of course, from India. He's like an Indian doubles legend. Of course, Sania Mirza. She obviously bid an emotional farewell. Her and her partner, Rohan Bopanna, got to the final in the mixed doubles. But tell us about her career, and then we'll focus a bit on the final itself.
Yeah, she had an unbelievable career. She went on a tear. So Hanlon, who didn't get to join us today, he and I got to interview her in Canada last year.
Oh, cool.
So we sat down with her for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I can send you the link after for people who want to listen. But if they just Google like Sania Mirza interviewed tennis tribe, you'll probably find it. But she mentioned retiring during that interview, and yeah, I mean, she has I think 6 Grand Slams.
Yep.
She went on this tear in, I think it was around 2014, 2015 with Hingis, where they won like 40 something straight matches.
Okay.
Really just an unbelievable doubles player. And I know she does a lot of, she's kind of an icon in India.
Big star.
Before the interview, we were doing some research and stuff just to make sure we had everything right. And she has like almost as many Instagram and Twitter followers as Serena Williams.
Yeah.
And she's a doubles player. So it's really incredible what she's done for the game there, and then in her professional career as well.
When you would have met her, which would have been about August, did you say, in Canada?
It was, yeah.
I think the plan was for her to probably bow out at the US Open, but I believe an injury scuppered those plans. And then it was like, okay, let's try and do this again. And fortunately, she was able to do so in Australia.
Yeah. So she made, I think the semifinals, she made a good run in Canada with Madison Keys. And then I believe she pulled out of Cincinnati the following week and didn't play the US Open either. So it seemed like maybe she tweaked something in Canada. I don't know that for sure, but that's my guess. So she wanted to have kind of a final run here, and it looks like Dubai, the WTA 1000 event, is going to be her last tournament.
Yeah, so this is her final Grand Slam, which is why obviously there was a bit more emotion involved. I had a Twitter interaction with her father, funny enough, about 6 months ago. That's why Imran Mirza, that's why I became aware of a little bit regarding the plan, and then the plan not working out in terms of the US Open. This was probably after the US Open, I'd guess about September, October. And at that juncture, he more or less said, now the plan will move to Australia. But at the moment, because I reached out to him to maybe do a potential interview with her, and I think she was a bit injured at the time, and she wanted to
Yeah,
get things back on track, if you like.
sure. Yeah,
So she didn't have a
amazing career, really.
she didn't have a glorious farewell though, of course, because the doubles pairing of her and, as I say, with her friend Rohan Bopanna, they lost the mixed doubles final to the
Mhm,
Brazilians of Luisa, Stefani, and Rafael Matos. Tell us a bit
mhm.
about them.
Yeah, so I don't know a lot about Rafael, Matos. Luisa Stefani, I've followed for a couple years now, and she's actually one of the only players on the women's tour that serves and volleys on a regular basis. She has great hands at the net, amazing defensive skills, which I think is what kind of makes her such a good mixed doubles player. If the guys are ripping forehands, um, looks like we have a comment here. If
Yeah,
the
we do.
guys
Yeah.
are like ripping forehands or blasting serves at her, she has the hands and reflexes to be able to kind of defend. So she's a very good, very smart doubles player. Um, Matos, I watched one of their matches, I believe, and I think he's a lefty and has just your traditional like big lefty forehand, I imagine would set up Stefani at the net pretty well. But to be honest, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of mixed doubles because I was so focused on the men's and women's doubles, and um, yeah, you can only watch so much. These Grand Slams, I feel just so overwhelmed, and I'll see these results where I'm like, oh, I missed that match, and it's kind of yeah, it's just a lot to take in.
Let's go for a broader take then, Will. Where are we with
Mhm.
mixed doubles? Do we have solid pairings that go into the tournaments as favorites, or are the pairings changing all the time?
For the most part, they're changing a lot, I feel like. One player who's had a lot of success the last few years is Desiree Kravchik. She's won 4 majors, I think, since 2021, in mixed. 2 of them were with Neil Skupski and then 2 with Joe Salisbury, and she seems to, play with one of those 2 partners for any given major. I think
Yeah.
she's played with Neil slightly more, and they teamed up at the Australian Open and lost. I don't remember which round, but they didn't make it through. But she's had a lot of success and has switched between 2 different partners. You'll see a lot of the time teams team up from the same country. So you'll see Mirza Bopanna and Matos and Stefani. That'll happen a lot. But for the most part, I feel like, yeah, the players, I don't think there's any science behind it. I've asked players about this, and they're just like, yeah, I think I'd like to play with that person. So I'll send them a text and ask if they want to play, and then we'll do it, you know? Because mixed
Yeah.
isn't the main focus for really anybody, even the main primary doubles players.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to the women's doubles because there are a couple of players right now that are making a name for themselves. I think it's 4 slams in a row that they've won when fit. The
Mhm.
French Open was obviously missing from that resume because Krejcikova, I think, picked up COVID. And so she's partnered. Krejcikova, anyone familiar with the singles games will be very familiar with her, obviously, in terms of French Open singles winner in 2021. But it's
Mhm.
Siniakova as well.
Mhm.
She's the doubles number 1. So anyway, tell us a bit about their run and just how they're tearing it up right now.
Yeah. So doubles is interesting. So not everybody might know this. For all of the events, they play no ad scoring. So there's a deciding point at deuce
Mhm.
or 40 all. And then they play a 10-point tiebreaker for the third. So they don't play a full third set. But the Grand Slams, they play ad scoring and they play a full third out. And when you have that format, it's more likely that the better team is going to come out on top, right? So the Czechs have not lost in that format since 2021, the US Open. They won
Mhm.
the Australian Open last year, dropping 0 sets to the finals and won the finals in 3 sets. They won Wimbledon last year after, like you said, the French Open. Krejcikova had COVID and they couldn't play, so they won Wimbledon last year. The whole tournament, they dropped 1 set to Melikar, Martinez, and Perez. Uh, last year at the US Open, they dropped, I think, 4 sets throughout, so a little bit more rocky, but they win the US Open. And then this year they drop a set in their opening round and then roll through the field. Most of the sets were 6-0, 6-3, 6-2. They really just didn't have any issues with anyone. I think the finals outside of their first match was the tightest, and that was a 4-3 win over Aoyama and Shibahara. So right now in a full best of 3 format, there's really nobody challenging them. They're better than everyone right now.
Are you someone who enjoys this when we see this, dominance, if you like? Are you someone that can sit back and admire it and go, "Wow, this is great," or are you someone that would rather, things were spread out a little bit, a bit more competition, etc.?
Yeah. I enjoy it. I think it's kind of fun to watch. I really enjoy. I mean, I love the strategy side of doubles. So I've studied this team more than any other team on the men's or women's tour the past couple of years. So I have a very good understanding of where they serve and what formations they use and all this stuff. And I like to nerd out on that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun. Uh, and like I said, since the other tournaments have the no ad, the 10-point tiebreaker, they can't totally dominate those as much. So you do get a little more balance in those. We saw the team I mentioned, Melichar Martinez and Perez, beat them at Cincinnati last year. They've dropped a few other matches kind of here and there in that other no ad format. So I think it's good for the game. I mean, a lot of people were talking about it after the Australian Open, whereas if there was more parity, people probably wouldn't talk about doubles as much. So overall, I like it. I enjoy watching it.
Tell us a bit about Saniakova and her game and what makes her Siniakova, what makes her so
Mhm.
good at this. I mean, we all know Krejcikova, and of course, to be honest with you, I think Krejcikova is number 3 in the doubles rankings right now. So, and she's
Mhm.
just dropped down one spot. So obviously they're
Yeah.
very much a dominant pairing. But tell us a bit more about Siniakova.
And what's amazing, if you zoom out there and scroll out, scroll down a bit, you look at tournaments played. They play less tournaments than anyone, and they're still 1-3. So
Yeah,
12, 10,
yeah, yeah,
and then most of
exactly.
these doubles players are probably going to be in the 20s once you get down to there.
In fact,
Um,
the next one down would be Kristina Mladenovic at 15 at 12. So everybody
yeah,
else has played 4, 5, 6 more tournaments than them.
at least, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Siniakova is she's ranked number 1 in doubles. From, in my opinion, she is the number 1 doubles player in the world. Last year, she won, I think, 6 titles with 4 different partners. So in some of the other tournaments, she doesn't play with Krejcikova for
okay.
whatever reason. So what makes her so good? She is the best net player in the women's game right now. Um, Her instincts are unbelievable. The way she can read the point, see if you're on offense or defense, and react accordingly. And then Krejcikova sets her up from the baseline so well. She's so solid with her ground stroke. She's able to go cross court or down the line off of both sides. So their best formation is with Krejcikova rallying from the deuce court at the baseline, and then Siniakova in the ad court. She has her forehand volley in the middle, and it just applies so much pressure to that other team. Her from the baseline, Siniakova is still a very good singles player. She's top, I think, 60-ish in the world in singles.
Hmm.
So she's still very good from the baseline. When she is back in the ad court, she has as good a backhand as anyone. I mean, she can hit her backhand with Coco Golf even when they get into that kind of cross court ad rally. So yeah, she does a good job of hiding her forehand, which is her weakness. So any of those middle balls, she'll just let Krejcikova take it with her backhand, and then she'll rush the net. Yeah, and they like to play on their terms, get into the positions that they like, and say, try to beat us. And so far, nobody can.
There was a funny moment in the speeches afterwards. So they beat the Japanese pairing of Ayama and Shibahara. I hope I'm saying that right. There was a funny moment in the speeches afterwards. So there was a kind of from Krejcikova a sorry not sorry moment for winning the match. It wasn't those exact words, but it was very similar. But it was funny and it was taken in good spirits. It was a bit of a breakthrough for the Japanese pairing, right?
A little bit. Side note, Krejcikova is hilarious. Like she is. If you ever get a chance to chat with her or listen to her on an interview, Hanlon and I sat down with her at the WTA finals last year.
Oh, great.
We talked with both of them, and they're so fun and lighthearted, and they were like making jokes. They're really they have great personalities. For Aoyama Shibahara, so they kind of a breakthrough. It was their first Grand Slam final. They made the semis of the Australian Open in 2021, and at the WTA finals 2 years ago in 2021. So really not even 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago, they were the 2 seeds. So they were the second best doubles team that year. They made the semis and I think lost to Shea and Mertens, I believe. But they were a really good team that year in 2021. So it wasn't, when you saw them in the draw at the 10 seed, it wasn't totally shocking to say they could make the finals. That was a very reasonable thing. But this was their first Grand Slam final.
Okay. Any final thoughts on the women's doubles before we move over to the men?
Not really. I mean, it's kind of more of the same with the Czechs dominating, and then a lot of parity otherwise. We saw Golf and Pegula team back up, which I hope they continue to do throughout the year because that is great for doubles, which I love to see.
How did they get on?
They made the semis and lost to Aoyama and Shibahara. So they did well. I think they really wanted to try to win the thing. They looked pretty disappointed when they did lose that semifinal match. But I do hope they keep playing together because it is good for the sport. A lot of fans loved going to watch them play doubles last year. So it's really good for that side of the sport. But outside of that, no big surprises. I was surprised actually to see Mertens and Kudermetova split up after winning the WTA finals last year.
What happened there?
I don't know why they split up. We chatted with them in the press conference, and it seemed like they were going to team back up again. So I don't know why they did split up, but they actually happened to play each other in the first round of the Australian Open in the doubles draw, and Mertens teamed up with Storm Hunter, formerly Sanders, and Kudermetova played with Samsonova, I believe.
There's no bad blood, or are we wondering if there might be
I
a
don't
problem?
know. Okay. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I have no idea. I did hear. I didn't watch the end of that match because the third set was like 5-love or something, and I flipped over to something else. And I did hear the handshake was kind of short. Okay. So whatever you want to make of that.
That's the next question. If we're not sure, we sort of focus on the handshake and then we leave it at that. Okay, listen, Will, let's move on to the men's doubles because we once again have the Australian Open men's title in the hands of some Australians. Last year, of course, we remember the runs of Kokkinakis and Kyrgios. By the way, did Kokkinakis play doubles this year?
I don't think he did.
No, I don't think
so. He and Kyrgios were signed up.
But Kyrgios pulled out the singles with an injury, so that was kind of...
Yeah, they backed out, and then the draw kind of... a few spots in the draw kind of opened up, and they had to flip some things around, and I don't think he picked a new partner. So
Jason Kubler and Rinky Hijikata, one or two of us, we've all been familiar with Kubler for a little while now, but Hijikata, of course, remember him playing Nadal at the US Open last year in the first round, and I think he might have played Tsitsipas in the singles at this year's Aussie Open as well. So he's sort of on the radar now. He's 21, which in tennis terms means he may well have been around a couple of years, but they were wild cards. And they won the final in straight sets. Tell us about their run.
So I tweeted, I think it was after the third round, uh, because I saw them making a run, these Aussie wild cards, and I saw let me pull up the draw here. Second round. No, this must have been after the second round. So another pair of Aussie wild cards, Bolt and Seville beat Mektic and Pavic in the second round in straight sets. And I was like, I was looking at this, and Hijikata Kubler beat Glasspool and Heliovara, and that was two of my semifinal picks in the second round, losing to Aussie wild cards. And I remember Kyrgios Kokonakis win last year. They actually played another unseeded Aussie team in the finals. I think it was Ebden and Purcell.
Yeah, it was.
Who ended up having a great year anyways, but they won Wimbledon. And then in 2020, I think Purcell teamed up with somebody else and made the finals. And it was another Aussie wildcard team. So the Aussie fans seem to have this effect on men's doubles. And I don't know, I was kind of wrapping my brain around it because the Kyrgios Kokonakis thing, like at the beginning of the tournament last year, you could have said, I could see them making a run, right? It's Kyrgios. He's so talented. He's so good at singles. Kokonakis is a really good singles player with a lot of talent as well. But Hijikata Kubler, like you look at the draw and you're like, no, not them. And they go through and win the thing. And the matches I watched, the thing that just separated them from their opponents was just their energy, which is a thing I don't like to talk about a lot because I can't measure it. And I love analytics and like to be able to be very confident in what I'm saying. But energy is a big thing in doubles. It's very important. And to be able to feed off the crowd and maintain that energy and focus and really from one point to the next act like this is the biggest point of the match, that matters, to not have that lapse in focus and to be able to sustain that for a long time. And I think the Aussie crowd helps these Aussie non-seeded or wildcard teams do that. They just get a little momentum and they start the Aussie chants, and they were doing chest bumps with each other, like between sets, and just ripping return winners. And yeah, the amount of energy and focus they had was really unbelievable. So, that's not my typical analytical answer, but I think it applies here. So I think that's what I made of them making this run.
What I tend to notice is is it how difficult? Okay, it's a question rather than a notice. How difficult is it to say make a run in the singles and the doubles at the same time? What kind of recent history do we have of somebody? I mean, I remember Swiatek being in the final of both French Open singles and doubles. What kind of history do we have on that at the moment? Because these guys obviously are going out in the early rounds in the singles and then able to channel all that energy. Last year as well, Kyrgios and Kokkinakis, I remember going out fairly early, and I think Kyrgios was second round, Kokkinakis was first. Does that help? Does that hinder? How does that play out?
I think it's player specific. It's more difficult on the men's side because you're playing best of five. You can see, Golf and Pegula make the semis of the doubles and the quarters of the singles, and it's not really an issue. Krejcikova won the 2021 French Open in singles and doubles, so she won both titles. So on the women's side, it's a little easier just because you're not playing best of five. But yeah, like I said, I think it's player specific. Kyrgios has said in the past, I like playing doubles because I don't like practicing and I'd rather play doubles. So I think it just depends on the player. A lot of players are better off like 100% focusing on singles, and some players might like to get that kind of break and get their mind off of the singles draw and the singles match and just have fun on the doubles court. So I think it really depends.
Final thing is more of a generic thing that I saw is that Wimbledon is now dropping the 5-set format for men's doubles. Am I right on that?
I did hear that. I haven't looked into it, but yeah, I heard that as well.
I think it was via Mark Petchey on Twitter, or albeit maybe somebody more well known for his singles prowess, but also as a commentator these days, a British guy. But yeah, I mean, is that something you would favor anyway?
Um, I'm kind of torn on it. I did really enjoy watching the best of five, especially at last year's Wimbledon. There was a lot of two-set comebacks. Uh, yeah, I don't remember specifically, but there was a few. I think one match with Mektic and Pavic where they were down 2-0 and came back. I'd have to look at the draw, but I enjoyed that. But if it will get some more singles players playing and then get more eyeballs on doubles, I'm a fan. Because for me, selfishly, I guess the thing I care about most is making doubles more popular. I want it to be more popular, and if it's going to help that, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, the men's. So I'm pretty sure that it is the case. I found a couple of sources at least. So it is going to change to the best of three to bring it in line with the other slams, right?
Yeah, the other slams are best of three still.
So there's a statement as well from the AELTC, the Lawn Tennis Championship, something or other. This change was recently approved by the main board members of the committee. The decision was made following a wide-ranging consultation, and the change brings Wimbledon into line with the other Grand Slams, as I just said. This update will provide the referee's office with greater certainty when scheduling matches during the event, and we hope it will encourage even more players to enter Wimbledon doubles as a result. But Nick Kyrgios criticized the format last year, calling it the stupidest thing ever. So that's him criticizing the five-setter. So maybe we'll see him in singles action this year.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
the only I guess the only thing that this, there is a good argument to keep it at best of five, because if a lot of some of the lower ranked doubles players may not get in, because you can get in on your singles ranking. So if I'm like, 50 something in the world in doubles, and this singles player decides to play because it's now best of three, I might be sitting out of Wimbledon. So that's the argument there. But right now, like I said, my priority is making doubles more popular. So I'm all for it.
Definitely, yeah. Will, brings us to an end for this show. Hopefully we'll be doing more of these throughout the year, particularly after the slams. Where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and now we have a TikTok account. We're releasing double strategy videos, video clips of the podcast and things like that on a daily basis for the next month to see how that goes. So yeah, we're on all the social media. You can go to thetennistribe.com and find the podcast. I just released a new ebook that's available for purchase. If you're into double strategy and play doubles and want to learn more about that. But everything is right there.
Cool. Yeah, I'm showing it on the screen right now. I've also posted it in the live chat too. So make sure you check that out. If you're watching retrospectively, that's all there for you. Make sure as well you hit the like button. And if you, as I say, watching retrospectively, get in the comments below and let us know your thought on the doubles tournaments down under, but also perhaps the rest of the year and any other doubles related content. Listen, Will, it's been great having you on board for this half an hour. As I say, hopefully we can make this a regular thing after slams.
Absolutely.
And if doubles ends up getting in the news, either because of a tantrum of a particular player or a particular controversy, then it would be great to have you on board again.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do it again. Thanks a lot, John.
Thanks, Will. I will play us out with a video. So, Will, you can just sign off because I click play on the video and leave it running for about 5 minutes. So enjoy the rest of your day, Will, and take care.
You too. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.